Kevin never expected his grandfather's funeral to be the beginning of the biggest mystery of his life. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video. As family and friends gathered to say their final goodbyes, grief hung heavy in the air. But while the others focused on the loss, Kevin noticed something odd. It was a sentence spoken by the priest during the ceremony. Cryptic, poetic, and completely unlike a normal farewell. Most people thought it was just a sentimental quote, but not Kevin. His grandfather, Arthur, had always been a storyteller, a man full of secrets and imagination, and Kevin knew deep down that this wasn't just a goodbye. It was a clue. 6 months earlier, Arthur Quinn had passed away. A beloved tavern owner, father, grandfather, and friend to many, Arthur had lived a life full of character and charm. His small-town tavern was more than just a place for drinks. It was the source of stories, legends, and riddles. Locals would visit just to hear him spin wild tales, and Kevin had grown up listening to every one of them, often turning them into games. But this final game, it turned out, was real. And it started at the funeral. The family held the ceremony at the tavern itself, honoring Arthur's final wishes. They transformed the usually lively space into a place of remembrance. Live music from bands that used to play there echoed through the room. His coffin, signed by loyal patrons, was carried in under the gray sky. Everyone was emotional, but then came Father O'Brien's strange eulogy. When the moon is on its 6th cycle and stone is put to earth, look to your left and the future will reveal itself. A few guests chuckled, others rolled their eyes. It was typical Arthur, but to Kevin it was everything. After the funeral, the family gathered near the grave. The undertaker explained that the headstone would be placed in 6 months, a standard procedure. But to Kevin, this matched the priest's riddle exactly. 6th moon. Stone placed. Look left. From that moment on, he waited. He watched the moon. He counted every cycle. For 6 months he lived in anticipation. The day the tombstone was placed was quiet and gray, just like the day of the funeral. The whole family returned, dressed in black. They laid the final piece of Arthur's physical legacy, a stone carved with the words, Arthur Quinn, husband, father, grandfather, storyteller, and ear to all. The moment was emotional, but Kevin's eyes weren't on the stone. He turned left, just like his grandfather's riddle had instructed. That's when he saw it, an old stone lantern, slightly tilted by the wind. Unlike the other fixed monuments in the cemetery, this one wobbled at the top, and just for a moment Kevin saw inside. There was something hidden within, something meant only for him. The rest of the family began walking back toward the parking lot, but Kevin stood still. He called out, "Don't you remember what Grandpa said?" His mom tried to hush him, but he marched toward the lantern, and with a swift kick, the top broke loose, revealing a hollow space and a small wooden box inside. Gasps echoed around the cemetery. Kevin had their full attention now. He opened the box slowly, revealing 2 items, a rusted old key and a letter sealed with a wax emblem, the same symbol Arthur always claimed was their family sigil. With trembling hands, Kevin read the letter aloud. Arthur's voice came to life through his words. "If you're reading this, then I'm long gone. But don't cry for me. Life was an adventure, and I've left you one last story to follow. Use the key. Go to the tavern. Look beneath the boards. And there, you'll find your inheritance." The family stood in stunned silence. Arthur's letter was clear. He had hidden something valuable beneath their feet for years. Something meant for all of them, but especially for Kevin. And so the group made their way to the tavern, eager, emotional, and filled with anticipation. After nearly an hour of searching, it was Kevin who found the clue again. He listened, not with his eyes, but with his ears. The floorboard in the center of the tavern creaked differently than the others. Kevin dropped to his knees, removed the plank, and found a twist handle hidden below. With a groan and a loud click, a hidden hatch creaked open, revealing stairs leading into a dark basement. What they found there would change their lives forever. Kevin, still clutching the key in one hand and the letter in the other, led the way down the dark staircase. A dusty light bulb flickered weakly overhead as the family cautiously followed behind, step by step. At the bottom of the steps, sitting in the middle of a small, stone chamber beneath the tavern floor, was a large iron-bound chest. It looked ancient, weathered by time, but still solid. On top of it was one final note, written in Arthur's handwriting, "Together, always." Everyone exchanged nervous glances as Kevin inserted the key and slowly turned it. With a soft metallic click, the chest creaked open. Gasps echoed through the basement. Inside was a fortune. Stacks of old bills and rows of glittering gold coins filled the chest to the brim. There were banknotes dating back decades, gold ingots carefully wrapped in cloth, and even several antique items, jewelry, rare collectibles, and foreign currency. The family stood frozen, stunned by what they were seeing. It looked like a pirate's treasure trove, but it was real, and it had been under the tavern this whole time. Linda, Arthur's widow, trembled as she stepped forward. "He never told me about this," she whispered. Not a word. Tears ran down her cheeks, not from sadness this time, but from overwhelming emotion. "He always said stories have a treasure at the end. I thought he meant memories." Uncle Michael counted the contents carefully over the next hour. The estimated value? Over $12 million. No one knew exactly where it all came from. Perhaps it was from generations of Quinn family savings, passed down quietly, added to by Arthur himself. Or maybe Arthur had made smart investments in his youth and never told anyone. Whatever the case, the letter had made his wishes clear. Divide the fortune equally among the 9 direct family members. No lawyers, no drama, just family. That evening, they all sat in the tavern with the chest open beside them. Kevin, still seated in Arthur's armchair, looked around at his family, laughing, crying, and reminiscing. The tavern, once a place for stories and strangers, had now become the heart of something even more powerful: legacy. Linda decided not to sell the tavern. Instead, the family agreed to renovate and reopen it in Arthur's memory. They would rename it The Storyteller's Rest. A large photograph of Arthur, beaming with a pint in hand, now hangs behind the bar, and below it, carved in wood, the same words from the tombstone: husband, father, grandfather, storyteller, ear to all. As for Kevin, his life was never the same. His name quickly spread throughout town as the boy who solved Arthur's last story. Local newspapers ran the headline for days. But for Kevin, the reward wasn't just the money. It was knowing that his grandfather trusted him to carry the story forward, that he had been right to listen, to pay attention, and to believe. Months later, on what would have been Arthur's 73rd birthday, the entire family returned to the grave once more. Kevin brought flowers, along with a new letter of his own, one he had written and sealed with that same wax family emblem. He slipped it into the hollow lantern where Arthur's message had once been hidden. "Someone will find it someday," Kevin said with a smile. Because just like Arthur had always told him, every good story lives on, so long as someone's willing to tell it.